This video is going to go over the Higley family tree. And as you can see, this is the zoomed out version. And it goes quite far back. It's a very interesting family tree as it actually includes some royalty. So there's a couple kings, a princess, some knights, a couple ladies as well. So it actually goes back to the 1200s. So hopefully somebody viewing this video in the future can potentially add even more detail to this. This is the current information though, as of 2024. And most of this has been kind of confirmed by some previous handwritten notes in our family. So I'm going to zoom in so that you can see each level in a little more detail. And I'm going to go over them. So throughout this video, you can obviously pause the video and take screenshots at any point if you want to. So we're going to zoom in, and I'll begin with my brother first, Craig Everhart, and myself, Colin, shown here. Above this are my parents, Sheldon Everhart, and my mother, Beverly Lutz. Also shown are her two siblings, Howard Lutz and Ben Lutz. Shown in the previous generation are her parents, Howard and Marion Lutz, who was born in 1909 and passed away in 1972. Howard Lutz was married to my grandmother, Maxine Lucille Eisler. She was born August 1914 in Windham, Ohio, and she passed away August of 2001 in Akron, Ohio. So we're going to continue along the Higley line. So as you can see, shown here are my grandmother's parents, my great-grandparents, Rex Joseph Eisler, and his wife was Ruby Lucille Higley. And she was born July of 1893 in Windham, Ohio, and she passed away in May of 1976 in Warren, Ohio. Also shown here are Ruby Higley's siblings, Alfred Higley and Mildred Jones. Ruby Higley's parents are shown here. We have an Arthur Higley. Arthur Higley was born in 1861 when the Civil War began. He was born in Windham, Ohio, and he passed away in April 1909, also in Windham, Ohio. Arthur Higley was married to an Alta Emma Hudson. She was born September of 1867 and ended in Portage County, Ohio, and she passed away in 1922, also in Portage County, Ohio. Shown here are a couple of Arthur Higley's siblings, a Sarah Higley, and she was born in 1847, and Burrell Higley Alfred, born in 1850. Going to the previous generation, we can see Arthur Higley's parents, Alfred M. Higley. He was born December 1822 in Windham, Ohio, and he passed away in August of 1890, also in Windham, Ohio. Alfred was married to a Mary Robbins Knapp, and Mary was born March of 1823 in Ashtabula County, Geneva, in Ohio, and Mary passed away in April of 1911 in Windham, Ohio. Alfred's parents were Benjamin Higley, and Benjamin Higley was born November of 1777 in Becket, Massachusetts. And he passed away in July of 1867 in Windham, Ohio. Benjamin was married to a Sally McCowan, who was born March of 1773 in Connecticut. And she passed away in Windham, Ohio in 1849. And Benjamin Higley's parents were a Micah Higley, his father. Micah was born in Connecticut, 1743, and he passed away in 1778 in Becket, Massachusetts. So the Higleys were the ones that actually founded Windham, Ohio. So you can see during Benjamin Higley's lifetime, born in 1777, his generation was the one that founded Windham, Ohio. So going back to Micah Higley, his wife was Olive Alford, born in 1754 in Connecticut, and passed away in 1827 in Windham, Ohio. Micah Higley's parents, his father was Joseph Higley. Joseph was born in Connecticut in 1715, and he passed away in Connecticut in 1790. Joseph Higley was also a captain. Captain Joseph Higley was married to a Catherine Brewster, and Joseph Higley's parents were Brewster Higley, and Brewster Higley was born in 1680 in Connecticut, and Brewster Higley, a reverend and a lieutenant, passed away November 5th in Connecticut. Brewster Higley was married to a Sarah Strong, and this also shows some of Brewster's siblings. So that included Elizabeth Higley, Hannah Higley, a John and Jonathan Higley, a Joseph Higley, Catherine and Mindwell Higley, as well as Samuel Higley. Their parents were a John Higley, who was married to a Hannah Drake. John Higley was born in 1649 in Surrey, England, and he was the captain of a ship that came over across the Atlantic to North America, and he passed away August of 1714 in Connecticut. His wife was Hannah Drake, and Hannah was born in Connecticut in 1653, passed away in Connecticut in 1694. So John Higley's parents are shown here. There's another John Higley, so potentially a John Higley Sr. John Higley Sr. was married to a Hannah Moore. So this name Hannah was kind of a family name that continued. Hannah Drake's parents, her father was potentially a sergeant from Devon, England, and passed away in Hartford, Connecticut in 1689. His wife was Hannah Moore, and Hannah Moore was born and died in Connecticut. She was born in 1627, passed away in 1686. So continuing a generation before that, we have as far as John Higley's parents, a Hubert John Higley, born and died in Surrey, England, born in 1594, passed away in 1657. His wife was Hannah Drake. So again, we see another Hannah in the family tree, born in 1602 in Surrey, England, and passed away in 1652 in Surrey, England. On the Drake side, there was a John Drake. John Drake is a significant member of the Higley family. He was called the Emigrant. And he's called this because at the age of 15, he snuck over on a ship And at the time, his life was pretty miserable in England. He was only 15. He was an apprentice to a glove maker, and at times, his master beat him. Also, there were some problems in England at that time expressing religious freedom, so he was pretty miserable. So at the age of 15, he snuck onto this ship to cross the Atlantic to America. So he was born in 1585 in Warwickshire, England, and he died in August of 1659. What's really interesting about his story is, as a stowaway, he was discovered by the crew and taken in front of the captain, but thankfully, because the captain was very sympathetic to his plight, he made a deal with John Drake. He said, as long as you agree to be sold when we get to America, that will pay for your passage on this ship. So then he became a member of this family. He then got married to Elizabeth Rogers. Elizabeth Rogers was also born in England in 1581, and she passed away in Connecticut in 1681. So she also crossed the Atlantic. So continuing with the Higley lineage and also looking at the lineage for John Drake, John Hubert Higley was the son of another Jonathan Higley, and he was born in 1570 in Surrey, England, and passed away in 1640, also in Surrey, England. Jonathan's wife was named Mary Ann Higley, born in 1573 in Worcestershire, England, and she passed away in 1643 in Surrey, England. Looking at the Drake side, we have a William Drake, born in and died in Devonshire, England, born in 1545 and passed away in 1590. William Drake was married to a Philippa. We don't have a last name, so hopefully somebody in the future can add more detail. But she was born in 1555 and died in 1592 in England. So continuing with the Higley line, we find a Hugh Higley, born in 1549, passing away in 1616 in England. Hugh Higley's wife was named Margaret Osland, and she was born and passed away in Worcestershire, England, born about 1549 and passed away in 1583. On the Drake side, there was a Robert Drake that was married to an Elizabeth Prideaux. And continuing back another generation on the Drake side, we see a John Drake married to an Amy Grenville. No further information on John Drake and Amy Grenville at this point, but there's some suggestion in the written family history that the Amy Grenville shown here is related in the future to Sir Winston Churchill in the 1900s, who became a famous prime minister of England. Amy Grenville's parents was a knight by the name of Sir Roger Grenville, who was married to a Margaret Whitburg. Sir Roger Grenville is the son of another knight by the name of Sir Thomas Grenville, who was married to an Elizabeth Gilbert. Sir Thomas Grenville was the son of Thomas Grenville, who was married to an Elizabeth Horhez. Thomas Grenville was the son of royalty, not only a knight but also a lady. So there's a Sir William Grenville as his father and a Lady Philippa Bonville. Sir William Grenville was the son of another knight and lady, Sir Theobald Grenville, and he was married to a lady by the name of Lady Margaret Courtenay. Now following the Courtenay lineage, her parents was a knight named Sir Hugh Courtenay and a Maud of Wales. So potentially a Welsh connection here. Going back another previous generation before Sir Hugh Courtenay was an Edward Courtenay married to an Emmeline de Auny, and continuing to the lineage of the Courtenays, a sibling of Edward Courtenay was a knight by the name of Sir Peter Courtenay, and also Margaret de Courtenay. Going back a previous generation was a lady by the name of Lady Margaret de Bohun from Devon, England. And she was the daughter of a princess of the Plantagenet household, Princess Elizabeth Rutland, born in Wales and died in Essex, England. So born around July of 1282, passing away May 5th of 1316. And Princess Plantagenet Rutland was potentially married to a count, John I, Count of Holland, from the Netherlands. So there's some potential that maybe this one isn't correct, but hopefully that could be checked out in the future. But the history of this princess was confirmed by some other handwritten notes. Princess Plantagenet was the daughter of none other than King Edward the First of England. So King Edward Plantagenet was born June of 1239 in Westminster, England, and he died July of 1308 in the UK in England. And King Edward I was famous, also referred to as the famous king that killed William Wallace, Braveheart, when Scotland was trying to fight for their independence. So King Edward was married to a princess, Castile. So Princess Eleanor Castile was born in Castile, Spain. So there's a little bit of Spanish heritage that kind of married into this family. She was born in 1241 and died in England in 1290, November of 1290. So she crossed over from Spain to the UK. And King Edward I, his father, was King Henry III of Winchester Castle. He was born October of 1207, and he passed away November of 1272. So that's the furthest I was able to go back. And it's amazing the royalty that's in this line. But again, it was confirmed by some handwritten notes of one of my relatives. So you can see how far this lineage goes back. So hopefully somebody in the future can add some more detail to this. But this is what I have currently as of 2024.